Hi guys, Cheyenne O'Bray here. Today is day number 5, and I come to you today in a place of vulnerability and a place of being authentically real. Definitely struggled throughout the day yesterday accessing that key of willpower and exercising it in my life. And it's interesting as you awaken and you become hyper aware of everything going on, your situation, how much you're able to really step outside of yourself even and take a look around at the universe and its divine timing, and how everything really just ties in together and everything works and happens in its own timing for a reason, and trusting in that, as hard as that can be sometimes, really does play into key of just living your impermanent now and trusting in the beauty of it all, I guess, and finding the strength through it all. So for those of you that are just tuning in, my name is Cheyenne O'Bray. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am doing a 7-day challenge of accessing 7 keys to be able to access self-mastery and living a life of higher dimensional form. And as most of you know that are going through your awakening process, everything's not always perfect and beautiful and fun and enlightening and light and love. Sometimes we're faced with some really fucked, harsh realities, and it's easy to get swept away in living a life of fear, a life of protecting yourself against your familiar past. So today I share with you, I'm going to do a little recap of the first 4 keys leading up to the 5th key. And the message today that I have for you is a very powerful message. I'm allowing myself to use my fierce intention, which is key number 1, and focusing my concentration, journeying with fierce focus and concentration on my goal and aligning with my vision, which is key number 2. And then key number 3, this one's hard. Journeying with a balanced spirit tribe. And number 4, which I shared yesterday, is journeying with fierce intention and not fierce intention, I'm sorry, fierce willpower. And how willpower really tied into key number 1, number 2, and number 3. As if you don't use willpower, you could easily just get rid of the first 3 keys and get rid of the key that I'm sharing today and the key that I'm going to share the next 2 days, because without willpower, you really truly, you don't have anything without willpower. And so today I'm clinging to every bit of willpower that I have to follow through with a personal challenge that I set for myself that aligns me with my vision of sharing, and not just sharing the happy, beautiful parts, but the painful, fucked parts of our reality that sometimes are hard to swallow, and embracing that and learning to grow through that and learning to trust in divine timing. And so today, key number 5, journey with fierce survival, secret. I'm going to say that again. Key number 5, journey with fierce survival's secret. And that secret that I'm going to share with you today has probably been one of my biggest and most challenging life lessons that I've had to learn. And that life lesson is to learn how to channel your rage and your anger. And This is a very powerful message, and I can't tell you how much pain and suffering I've had to endure to be able to embrace this lesson and to apply it. And so it really couldn't come at a more perfect time. Yesterday was a very rough day for me, as I shared. I'm gonna start off with something that my preschool children's bus driver shared with me this morning. She must have felt my energy and felt that it was off. And it's actually interesting because this lady at one point in my, I want to say years and years ago, when my oldest was in kindergarten, I remember being that upset, angry mom, and I was just full of anger and rage. My daughter had been exposed to a traumatic event that had school faculty put in precautionary measures given a particular child's history my daughter would have never been put in. I was triggered, and I allowed that anger and resentment to almost cost this lady her job. Or so I heard. You know, it's a small town. I'm learning as I go on, and just listening to some of the things that I hear about me, I'm like, wait a minute, this is so not even real. Like, so that's what I had heard, but I know that there's a heaviness in this woman's heart towards me, and I could feel it every time I put my kids on the bus. And today, as I'm loading the kids onto the bus and trying to hide feelings of pain, feelings of anger and resentment and rage, and trying to just do my motherly duties, I have her ask me in an authentic, genuine way, how are you doing? I was like, I'm doing amazing, because I'm practicing this art of manifestation and fake it till you make it. Feel what you want to feel in the present kind of way of thinking. And very long story short, she said to me, you know, that works, but also remember this. Think about an oyster every time you're feeling like you're feeling right now. Think about that one little particle of sand that has irritated that oyster. Now I want you to think about what that particle of sand that has irritated that oyster creates. It creates a pearl. And I literally blew her a kiss. Like, I needed that in that very moment more than I could even describe. And I clearly have an apology that I need to make for how I used my rage and my anger at the situation to affect her in a situation that really wasn't her fault. But I feel oftentimes when we're angry or raging, we take it out on others. And I have this message to share in one of my more vulnerable times, because I know that I'm here to learn my lessons and to share them, and I'm here to journey spreading light and love. And it's hard sometimes, and this is a pretty raw topic, but it's a very important message. And I try to rush this out this morning, this video, so I could get to town, and I needed to trust in the divine timing of all of it. And I actually had a very, very amazing person, a spirit tribe member of mine that has recently come back into my life, that I know has come back in the perfect divine timing to help me embrace this path in my journey and understand it on a higher dimensional level. And I'll share a little bit more of that with you later, but it took me to trust in the divine timing and follow my instincts of when was right to put this video out so I could have this full message for you. So strap in, you guys. It's gonna be one hell of a ride. I can talk to you about broken families. I can talk to you about addiction. I can talk to you about abandonment. I can talk to you about depression, betrayal. I can talk to you about loss. I can talk to you about grief. I can talk to you about suicide. I can talk to you about abuse. I can talk to you about corruption. I think I already said betrayal, but it's definitely been a lesson that I've had to learn to really understand how to channel the lessons learned from betrayal. And the key to really journeying with fierce survival's secret is to learn how to channel that rage and anger. And it's very interesting because as though I could talk to you in great length with just personal stories of how I could go into that victim state and tell you about all the reasons that I have to be angry and all the reasons that I have to lash out in rage and try to justify that, and have spent a lot of energy and sent a lot of bullets with words of rage and anger. I can't count how many times I've knocked on people's doors because of Facebook statements and gotten trespassed off of properties. Arizona people are a little different, or maybe it's just the time, but in Arizona you are allowed to express your anger and rage through your fists and fuck yous and just really being more real. And I feel like people were held to a different level of accountability in those days. But that is definitely not something that I am recommending by any means, but definitely a way in which I was raised. Anger and rage was the first and only defense mechanism that I was taught growing up in the manner and environment in which I did. And that's not me playing the victim, that's just me acknowledging. You have to go within and understand, and that's just me acknowledging the reason behind, I guess, in a sort of weird way. Anyways, learning how to channel that rage and anger really is key to survival. And I want to share with you, Tom Bilyeu the other day in my news feed came across, and he's one of the motivational speakers that I admire and I follow, and has really been a guiding light in my awakening journey. And he shares, in the really dark times, anger and rage have a certainty to help you survive your most darkest, desperate hour. He even shared that there's studies that have shown that rage and anger helps people push past their breaking point. And he shared a particular story and a link that I'm going to share in the description below, because this was a really powerful, moving, motivational short video that was so empowering to me, and I'm using that as my lifeline right now to get through today and to channel this anger and this rage and these feelings in a way that I need to align with my vision and my higher self and who it is that I'm choosing to be, because it really is a choice at the end of the day. And using yesterday's key of willpower to redirect and realign is kind of vital to today, but today is super powerful. Key number 5 is your lifeline, you guys, and I can't stress this enough, because I will tell you what, that I have learned this lesson very painfully, and I've had to repeat this lesson until I've been able to truly understand it and gain awareness of it. And that is really learning how to channel that rage and anger. And he shares how studies have shown, like, he goes into this story about how they have all these people that put their arm or their whole like arm and hand in ice, and how they get to that point where they literally feel like they have like no willpower left to hold it in any longer, that they're at their breaking point, and how they're instructed to go within and channel their rage and their anger and whatever thoughts come to mind to bring that up, and how it really truly gives them that extra push, that extra strength beyond rock bottom, beyond breaking point. And I guess this kind of goes for anyone who has ever been through shit in their lives. I feel like all of us in our own story, in our own way, we go through some shit. There's no better way of putting it. A lot of you have been through a lot of pain, loss, betrayal, all of those descriptive words of the victim mentality. I struggle with that though, because, you know, it's hard to know how to decipher between validating those feelings, because I feel like in order to truly heal, you have to feel that pain and you have to acknowledge where that pain's coming from. And I have had to face that pain in so many different stories in my life, and unfortunately it's hasn't been until now that I really started to grow from that pain. I can't say that I've mastered this yet, but it's definitely something that I am very much working on. It's a daily practice of exercising willpower and mindfulness and being able to go within and do the work. So, I'm learning that all of these negative things that I'm sharing with you guys, all these feelings of betrayal, of knowing the pain that comes from a broken family, and knowing and having to own the responsibility of the fact that your beautiful children are suffering because of that broken family, and the pain that has created the anger and the resentment and the hostility and the betrayal, the small town drama. Tom Bilyeu shares in there, he says, you know, I keep a list of all of the people that have doubted me. He keeps a list of all of his haters, and I like to call these people in my life my fan club. It helps me, it kind of inspires me a little bit, and I'm going to share more in regards to that. Inspires you? How could somebody that hates you and despises you and wishes to see you fail inspire you? Cheyenne, that's kind of crazy, but this is literally what's given me the power to push through. And when Tom Bilyeu shares this, it really resonated with me, because at the end of the day, he really has a vital key here, and has allowed me the wisdom to be able to share it with you. So he shares all those negative things that have been said about you, your inner voice even. You know, we get in our head a lot, and we take those things that people said even back to our childhood and grade school. Like, we take these bullets of fucking hateful, mean, vindictive, destructive definitions and descriptive words that people share with us in their own pain, because I truly believe, and it's something my twin flame has shared in the past that kind of was a revelation to him of sorts, that hurt people, and it is so true. And unfortunately, a lot of times when we're hurting, we hurt the people that love us the most, or the people that we think are for sure going to be there for us at the end of the night and at the end of the day. And sometimes I've had to face in my own reality that's not always the case. And so you really have to take all those negative things. You have to take that fan club. You have to keep a list. You have to identify with even your inner voice that's self-destructive and identifies with that victim mentality, and you have to fucking use those feelings that come, that anger, that rage, the anger that comes from that feeling of ultimate betrayal, and you have to say, fuck that. Fuck you. Not you guys, sorry. You really have to take that, you know, instead of maybe taking a page out of Cheyenne's book and driving recklessly. I'm just joking about the recklessly. I'm a safe driver, I swear. Driving with this fierce intention of serving up justice or vindictiveness and getting even and knocking on doors and being like, hey, keyboard warrior, how are you? I'm here. Face to face. What was it again that you were saying to me? I've done that a few times, and I can't say that the feeling is rewarding, and I've even had to like turn around and go, hey, you probably were just coming from my house, you're looking for me, I'm guessing, just to save the kids the trauma of having the lights flash. No, I'm just joking, I really didn't have the kids with me. But actually no, there was a time that I addressed a person over And I did it in a very respectful manner. I addressed a person over her son's behavior because I'm old-fashioned in believing that you have to hold your kids accountable and it's your responsibility, not the school's. And my daughter was getting bullied, and it was first like an email, hey, you know, we're having this situation, can you address this with your child? And then the next time it was my foster daughter and my daughter that had gotten off the bus and shared with tears and feeling the pain of being bullied, what had happened. And in my mama bear state, I loaded those kids up. We went to where this person lived. They literally took me via knowing the bus route and who got off where this person resided. And I honestly, I didn't know who she was, but she birthed the boy that was abusing my daughter, or not abusing her, the boy that was picking on my daughter. And it's weird to think, fast forward, this same lady is now one of my very best friends, and such an inspiration and a light in my life. And her son and my daughter are very good friends, and she's used her light and love to shine for him in some of his darker hours, and he has done the same for her. So it's interesting just looking in hindsight how the universe works, and trusting and being able to use that faith and just watching how it all has manifested thus far, in knowing that everything happens for a reason, and to trust and just really be in that present state and live your life. But it's sometimes really hard. Somewhere I shared where pain that fuels the rage and anger, it tends to give our ego this false sense of giving us the excuse of staying in this all-time dangerous low. And I have been there. I have hit rock bottom. And Tom Bilyeu shares, he's like, it's in that very moment where you have to dig deep and you have to harness that fierce rage and that fierce anger, and you need to use it with every ounce of your being, in your willpower, in your strength, in your last little lifeline. You need to channel that rage and that anger to say, fuck you. Fuck that. This is not who I am. This is not what I will be. And I'm going to prove you all wrong. And then I'll sign your autograph. No, maybe not that part. He didn't add in that part, but being an author, not an author. I'm going to be an author someday. That actually was manifested to me today. But being a writer and someone who is finding so much more joy and so much more healing in spreading light and love instead of acting out of anger and rage and channeling that in the wrong ways, I have to share with you guys that it is in those darkest times that I can truly attest to the reality that life is really beautiful, but there are those dark times where you hit that rock bottom and you have nowhere else to stare but in your own reflection in the mirror, and you really have to face off with yourself, and you need that lifeline. It is easy to be consumed by the drama and the pain and all of the feelings that come from being betrayed, and it's hard to go through so much pain and not want to try to find ways to numb it, or to just reside in this, you know, new low that you've discovered it's almost a numbing reality where you quit feeling, your heart becomes cold, and you have built this wall of protection, but really it's just living daily in your familiar past of fear and not allowing yourself to truly let go and to trust. And that really has been a message that was brought to me today, and I'm going to share that in tomorrow's key as well. But I have to say, I'm going to open up and be pretty vulnerable here and share with you guys you know, I've hit that rock bottom. I know what it feels like to try to even understand how someone could get so low and so desperate in pain, that they make life-altering decisions, and their realities are completely and forever changed because of those life-altering reality choices that they make. And I can say that I've been at that crossroads more times than I care to admit in my life. And I'm so thankful that in this lifetime I am as strong as I am, and I'm a warrior, and I persevere. It really takes that willpower to do all of the above, but I've seen in a very real sense potential parallel dimensions and alternate realities, and it's something that I'm really intrigued and fascinated by. I don't completely understand it, but I truly believe it to be true. I've also seen it in one of my very closest relationships. I've literally seen dimension jumping and reality is completely changed in the blink of an eye, and trying to wrap your head around that is really hard. Learning how to practice self-love enough to know that no matter how much you love somebody unconditionally, and that you will always love them in lifetimes to come and past lives, and the reality that knowing that you have no other choice but to walk away. And it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And learning how to separate from feeling abandoned or betrayed. Learning how to handle a situation with grace. Channeling that rage and that anger, because the reality that you wanted isn't what's happening, and knowing that you literally have no control over it, that you literally have to trust the universe and its higher purpose for you. It's not the easiest thing to do in the world, that is for sure. And I really struggled with that this morning. I had one of my spirit tribes come over today, not knowing the state that I was in, but it was interesting because she told me on the way over, she's like, see if you can fit some time in for some meditation this morning, Cheyenne. And with everything going on, CPS is back in our lives, and facing the reality of how corrupt the legal system is, and seeing that in so many different realities, in my relationships with my friends and myself, and facing that harsh, brutal truth is sometimes hard to swallow. And then adding in, on a more personal level, having to walk away from someone that I love very, very much, and not having the choice in controlling the outcome of what the future holds in regards to our journeys and our paths. It's a very painful thing, and I'm conditioned in my familiar past to feel those feelings of abandonment and pain and heartbreak, and not trusting the system and not trusting relationships that I have the feelings of rage and anger triggered. And Tom Bilyeu shares, he says, in the really dark times, anger and rage have the certainty to help you survive your most darkest, desperate hour. And I truly, truly believe that. And I'm going to share how this all ties in. It's really, really crazy. But without the trust element, you're fucked. Feeling that unconditional love in your heart, but still needing to find the strength to walk away, it's a fucked feeling. It's not fair, but it's real. Today I had a beautiful soul walk through my door, and it was a really divine meeting of healing. And I did participate in getting to sage my house, and the healing and empowerment that came from just knowing that I'm standing in my own truth and my own empowerment, and I'm taking the steps to not only protect and cleanse our environment, but I'm taking the steps to be the strong person that my children need during this trying time in our lives, and finding peace in that, and knowing that right now my focus needs to be on my own healing and my own growth, and my focus needs to be on my children and their healing and their growth, and leading by example and practicing what I preach on a daily. It's my only job at this point, and then continuing to share my journey and spread light and awareness. It's key. She came in and lit some candles, and we talked, and she shared her vision for 2020, and I'm super, super excited. You guys are going to get to meet her in an interview in the near future, and I'm going to share a quote that we kind of had revealed to us through our meeting today and our divine meeting. I'm going to share that because it ties in with tomorrow's key. But during this time, she said, you know, I'm really taking on this next chapter in my life, and she, after spending time with me and sharing her own awakening journey and where she's at, I definitely could feel and had manifested that she not only is an amazing writer, and she too is sharing her journey through her own personal experience in this lifetime. I feel like our paths have definitely connected on so many levels in just this lifetime. I definitely feel that I'm divinely connected to her in past lives as well, and she kind of feels like that big sister to me, and I don't have one of those biologically, so it kind of is a really nice comforting feeling. And so she asked me, she says, Cheyenne, would you like to have a card reading? And it's interesting because just a few days ago I watched an online card reading of a different sort, but it had to do with being Virgo and my horoscope, and I have never really followed along with card readings. The neighbor boy had given me one a long time ago, and the only thing that I remember that sticks out of that, and it was really at the beginning of the end of my divorce, was the death card. And I remember being really took off guard by that and feeling so much uncertainty from my past conditioning of being a Mormon and believing that all is witchcraft and you're going to hell, and be careful, you gotta be careful who you associate with, and blah blah blah. And so I don't feel like I opened myself up enough to fully receive the message, but I remember that death card and him doing this, it's okay, Cheyenne, it's okay, it's not what you think it is, like I remember the fear. Definitely lived a lot of my life in fear, trying to camouflage that with being this badass chick that really wasn't as badass as she was portraying to be. I am just like everybody else. I feel what everybody else feels, and some people are just really a lot better at hiding it than others. So with that being said, I want to go on to this. She reads my cards for me, and it was actually from the Goddess Power Oracle card set that she had acquired, and she wanted me to make sure that I shared with you guys that it was a reading by Collette Baron, and I'm gonna find the link to that set that she has and leave it in the description, because this has definitely been a turning point and a huge revelation in my life at this point, and it couldn't have come at any better divine timing. And it's just even more affirmation that we really need to trust the timing and everything, and follow our instincts, and learn how to walk away from the relationships and the situations that will no longer serve us, and trust in divine timing. If it's meant to be, they'll come back in our lives, or if it's meant to be, things will be healed. So today I'm going to share with you, pardon me for needing the notebook, but it's a very powerful message, and I'm gonna actually write a blog post about this and share this on March 9th. It ties into the full moon, and the full moon being in Virgo, which just happens to be my horoscope, so I'm very intrigued by this reading that I received, and then the horoscope reading that I watched the other day on YouTube and shared on my page, which I'll leave a link in the description of that as well. So there was 3 different cards that she pulled, and they were all upside down, and I'm still trying to acquire knowledge about this because it's so intriguing to me. But they were all upside down, which meant an alignment message from what I can understand. Don't quote me, because obviously I'm still very unknowledged when it comes to these kind of things. But what these 3 cards led up to, and I'm going to go in more description of the 3 cards, the 3 goddesses that were pulled, one of which jumped out, which was interesting because the one that jumped out was the one that I'm going to talk to you about today. It was this divine message of basically these 3 cards, but the first 2 leading up to the 3rd card, if I could accomplish what the first 2 were sending me in regards to an alignment message, and each goddess had their own message for me. And so this 3rd and ultimate reality, I'm going to say, was the goddess Kali, and she stands for liberation, and her number is 25. And so I'm going to share this with you. When resentment and anger fester below the surface, the unprocessed emotions simmer until they boil over. It's easy to project anger, envy, and ancient inherited rage on others we perceive as the source of our discontent. When something triggers these emotions, we can project onto strangers as well as the people closest to us. Nobody wins when so much pain is unleashed in the world, and it's definitely not easy to feel, that's for sure. I'm a true testament of that today. Take heart, for you are not alone, and this is a really comforting thing for someone that wants to go to that victim state of abandonment. Take heart, for you are not alone. Know that rage and fury must have a place to be expressed, and it's just even more affirmation because before she read this card reading to me, I literally was getting my notes together about today's message, because I knew that today's message needed to be about rage and fury and how we really can channel that to be our own lifeline, our own survival key in our most darkest, desperate hour. So when she read this to me, I cannot explain the tingles that I felt all over my body in affirmation and confirmation. And it's interesting because I was journaling what she was sharing with me at the time, and the strangest thing happened. My daughter's door slammed shut, like slammed, I'm talking, to the point where both of us who suffer from PTSD, we were pretty shocked. And it's interesting because I actually did like a big scribble in where she was talking. There it is, right here. Right at the point that she said, bring love to the part of you, and then door slam, that needs reminder that you are not alone. Embrace the flow, the change, being the change. And it really was affirmation that at this point in my journey, I really am all I need, and my kids need me, and beyond that, nothing else matters. I have to focus all of my energy and attention on healing and being the best person that I can be, so I can guide these children with light and love and strength and wisdom. So take heart, for you are not alone. And obviously just before that, the door slam is almost like just like this, wake up, here I am. Listen, this is key and vital. So know that rage and fury must have a place to be expressed, and you can use this energy to make something extraordinary and find a new way. And I feel like, yet again, I'm at another crossroads in my life, and I'm being tested with all of this coming at me from different directions, and in regards to times in my familiar past where I would have completely went on a spiral downward of self-sabotage and revenge, and I would have wasted a lot of energy channeling my anger and my rage in all the wrong places. So this was very moving for me. The fierce liberation goddess Kali offers her daggers to help you cut the ties to stories you tell about your past once you have expressed and processed them. No matter what your conditions, your alignment task is to find a way to channel this rage, this anger, and these feelings into creativity. And it beautifully ties into how I have the strength to sit in front of you guys today and allow myself to be that vulnerable person that's learning to embrace the pain on this journey and to grow from it and to trust in divine timing and to know that I have no control over the outcome, and reflection of past should only be done long enough to heal, and then you need to move on and you need to let go and you need to cut the ties of the stories you tell about your past. Once you have expressed and processed them, no matter what your conditions, your alignment task is to find a way to channel the rage and the anger. And it couldn't have been any better timing or any better affirmation that I am right where I need to be in my journey. I've been seeing a lot of 5s today, and I need to kind of go within and do some research. Not within, I need to go to Google and figure out what 5 symbolizes, because today I see 5 everywhere, and 2 I already know has a symbolic meaning of balance and harmony. And so this number 25 and this being the ultimate alignment message, Kali being the goddess that is calling my name and telling me, you know, you're on your right path and this is what you need to get there. And the other goddesses that were shared in the other 2 cards and their message for me, and the divinity and synchronicities in just the beautiful woman that was humble enough to show up at my doorstep and apologize for having it wrong and not understanding the situation in the way that she thought she did, and me having the grace and being far enough in my journey not to open that door with ego. It's a message that I actually shared with you guys a few days ago in one of the keys, and today we met again, and it was a divine meeting, and she shared with me, you know, some of the stuff that's been placed on her heart, and she's definitely gifted with the talent of being a healer, and so I'm really thankful for today, because it has given me the comfort that I really needed in my heart to be okay with my reality right now, and know that just the glimpses that I've had into the potential parallel dimensions, I'm really happy to be here in the position that I'm at right now, sharing my light, sharing my love, sharing my wisdom, but being completely vulnerable and at a place of really just not giving a fuck about what other people think and say, and almost finding amusement out of the energy that's expelled trying to destroy me or see me fail in life, because it truly is my lifeline. So to all of you that have watched this and you're not Cheyenne O'Bray's biggest fan, and you're here trying to pick this video apart to find something to use against me, I truly encourage you to go within and take that time to ask yourselves, what is it about me that triggers the rage and the anger and the resentment and the pain within you? I actually had somebody do this to me once, and it was not a comfortable feeling. But it's a very, very, very real reality, because every relationship we have is a direct reflection or a mirror to aspects of our life that we need to face. Some people come into our lives to teach us. Some people come in to guide us. And I just want you to ask yourself, what is it that triggers you. And it doesn't have to be about me, because I know we're on YouTube. A lot of you don't know me, and you just know me through this channel. And so ask yourself, what is it in my relationships with the people that I have in my life that trigger me? And it could be good and it can be bad, because you really need to reflect on your spirit tribe and balancing that. As I shared in day number 3, learning how to balance that spirit tribe, you need to do reflection and understand your spirit tribe and the people that are in it. And if you're allowing enough emotion to feel triggered towards somebody, then that means that you need to go within and you need to face that shadow part of yourself and work at understanding it, so you can integrate it into mastering your mind. And that will ultimately lead to living a life of a higher dimensional level and a higher dimensional reality, whatever you want to call it. I'm still trying to understand that. I have so much to learn in this journey, but I can always tell when I'm in that flow state, which I've been in, and really just like, I feel like ET, input, like I'm gaining so much awareness and knowledge and wisdom. Go within yourself and ask yourself, be real with yourself. What is it that is triggering me and why? What do I need to learn? What is my life lesson in this? How do I reflect on this and grow? And I just encourage you to do that, and just know that, you know, there's way better ways to channel your energy. There is, every emotion we feel is there for a reason. It's to help us to go within and to help us grow. And tomorrow's key is really vital to all of everything that I've shared today. Thank you for your time and bearing with me through my emotions, and I just hope that you guys can really utilize these keys that I've been sharing to do that inner growth and to do that reflection and integration that I've been working on through my shadow work, and let it be that fuel. Let all of the shit that people say about you, all of the negative self-talk that you've allowed yourself to form as inner beliefs, to really define, you came home on the bus, to really define your success. Use it as your fuel, your lifeline in your darkest hour, to push you past that breaking point and give you the motivation and the willpower to push forward. And so I'm going to end with that. Peace, love, and light, and use that anger and that rage in a way that is going to serve you and your higher purpose, and align you back where you need to be to reach those goals and those visions. And until tomorrow, namaste.